this team, this cohort has been working together for 12 weeks without ever, I mean, they interacted several hours a day, but only remotely, and yesterday was the first time they actually got together as a whole team, and that was pretty awesome. After such a long time of intense work, it's always almost an emotional moment when people get to meet. And I usually say that, for instance, one of our cornerstones, Raul, he's been working with us for over 2.5 years, and I've never actually met him in real life. Raul, you're the man. He's with us. Yes, he's waving at us. All right. Okej, ska vi börja köra igång?
Ja.
Den här filmen?
Varsågod.
Yes, vi tar ett steg åt sidan bara.
Ska vi... Ja. Great. I'm Hanna, for those of you who don't know me. I work as a team and life coach with Craft Academy. As you see from the film, and as most of you know, Craft Academy is accelerated learning program designed to take you from newbie to junior developer in 12 weeks. And we're here today to see the final project presentation from the October 2017 cohort. I want to first introduce the coaches. Thomas, who soon will get to speak. He's the founder and owner of Craft Academy. We have with us online Raul and Magnus. Raul is based in South Africa and Magnus in Gothenburg. And then last but not least, Faraz, who's the Stockholm coach. Right, so I hand over to you, Thomas.
Thank you. So first of all, welcome to this day. Here we are again. We do this every, 2 months, 2.5 months, and every time we do this, every time we graduate a bunch of people from the Craft Academy Bootcamp, it's a huge step. And we do this final presentations, and we showcase what they've done. And it marks an end of a journey for us together, but it marks also a start of a new journey for the students when they go out to the real world to work as professional developers. And every time we do this, I am stunned by the remarkable fact that we can take people without prior experience and turn them into junior developers in such a short time as 12 weeks. And people are a bit skeptical sometimes about that, and they should be, because it's a pretty bold statement to be able to do that. Yet we're doing it every 3 months, every 2.5, 3 months. So I will end this presentation with a few more words, but I would just like to welcome Alfred and Scott, right?
Yes.
As the first team, and have them present their application.
See your screen now for us? Cool. All right. Welcome to our presentation of our project. I'm Alfred Johansson. I'm 22 years old, and I'm from Gothenburg, and I'm one of the half that's done this.
Yeah, I am Scott Bartels. I'm 19 and I'm Dutch. Okay, so first off, what have we built and why? We've built a application called Gather Your Thoughts. It is a smart mobile, it's a smart journal mobile application where users can create entries and categorize them. Entries can be tagged with sentiments and labels. And then that's like the main feature where the app is really used to help users organize their thoughts. And then to add on to that main feature, users can go back in time, you could say, on the history page where they can see what they were thinking a month ago, for example. And then we also have a activity page where there are graphs and that show the user's activity over time. So for example, we have one graph where it shows how many thoughts a user has made over the past 7 days. And then lastly, like the why for why we made the app, to help people who just feel really chaotic and flooded with thoughts. And the basic note-taking apps fail to do the job, and this app is just, the main aim was just, to act as a self-help tool for users. All right, and then our kind of design sprint, the planning, what was our thought process? We used a very handy application called Pivotal Tracker for the planning.
There you go.
And then, and then we break so-called features down into stories, and then it has lots of really cool features. But for example, Alfred and I would vote on each story, on points 1 to 3 based on how complex we think that story will be, and then it just really helps to organize our work and know who is working on what. And then our next thought was to build a mobile application with a framework called Ionic, which we have used before. And then we use Rails as the backend. It does the dirty work, you could say, and stores the data. Another aim, or the first aim we had, was to have the application easy to use. So it's easy to navigate, not too many features, just a fair amount. We also aim to have a productive working speed, so already from the start going full throttle, just working fast but still under control. And then we aim to also break big features down into 2. So for example, we always for the most part start on the back end with Rails and then adding to Ionic for that side of the feature. And then lastly, we also aim to work solo on features that we feel we understand are fairly easy, and then together if they are more complicated.
All right, so who is this app for? That's a good question. It could be for anyone, a musician who wants to, comes up with an idea in the middle of the night, or who comes up with an idea. It could be, a film critic who wants to write down reviews. It could be whatever you're thinking about at any time. So like if anyone is using this, what I'm using now, it's like this is what it's for. Like I actually got this idea like just a while ago while demoing this, that we're gonna save the environment too. Like if people use our application, we can save some paper. But mostly it's just supposed to be a very easy way to write down anything at any time and categorize it, so it's easy to find whatever you want to find, instead of like going through this, which I would have to. I could just go like and have a label, whatever I want it to be, like ideas or a relationship or whatever I want it to be, or if So does it solve any problem? Well, that was kind of what I just talked about actually. But yeah, it's just to make it easier for people to write down whatever they want to and navigate through those entries. So it solves this problem basically of the traditional way of taking notes is the whole idea. So technologies we used. We'll try not to go too technical. So first of all, we used Ruby on Rails for our backend. See that little cool Rails image there? Basically, this time around, we built an API-only Rails application, which meant that the application was only used to store data, send out data, and maybe sometimes perform some logical operations in between there. But it was not responsible for actually displaying something on your screen or your mobile device in our case. For that, we actually used Ionic, which is a mobile application framework, which you could develop multiple platforms with, such as both iOS and Android. So when you actually click on something in our app, it gets registered by Ionic, which then sends a request to our Rails server, which then does something, sends back a response, and then that response gets displayed on your mobile screen. So that's kind of the whole workaround how it works. So then also we wanted to add a little cool thing that you can see here. I don't know if you can really see what's going on, but so if I create an entry with a title and a body, and then we wanted to be able to suggest labels based on analyzing that text. So if I wrote this, I love my coffee in the morning, as soon as I tap out from that body, we get this coffee and morning, which is basically by this Microsoft Azure Text Analytics. So as soon as we tap out from that little text screen, we send a request to our Rails backend server, which then sends a request to this Azure service, which actually analyzes the text and picks out some keywords like coffee and morning, and then sends it back to our view, which was something cool we wanted to implement. We used RSpec to test our backend to make sure everything was working. We used Chart.js to implement some graphs that you're going to see later, and Heroku to actually host our server.
Okay, next, the problems we faced. So first, we had time objects. So for example, it was on the activity page where we show graphs. We had to get a user's thoughts, from the past. So for example, over the last 7 days, and that was just quite a pain, and that was causing some blockers because we hadn't worked with that a lot in the past. Next, things working differently on iOS and Android, hence the bold on iOS, because mostly it was Android that always looked better, and mainly in this case, the functionality always break on iOS. So, for example, Alfred at some point added a cool fade-in effect every time a user goes on a new page, and then Android was working fine, and then iOS had a black screen and wasn't showing anything, it was just a black screen. So that was quite annoying to fix. And then false positives. So as Alfred mentioned, the RSpec that's used to test on the back end, there was one feature where every test was green. But Alfred then noticed on Friday, after making a bunch of entries, that on the home page we have this donut chart, and the thoughts were being assigned to the wrong sentiment. So you could, Alfred would, for example, make one with happy, and it got assigned to angry. So we had to, so that was kind of like last minute that we had to fix. So yeah, so those were the problems we faced.
Yeah, it was a fun thing. We were like on Friday, like now we're gonna have the entire day to fix the presentation, and then like after lunch we noticed like bugs we didn't know existed. So good times. So yes, what was the result of this? Well, this doesn't say that much to some people, but some people it says we have more than 290 commits. It's probably over 300 now. More than 80 PRs merged, which is quite a lot. A functional mobile application, kind of, and 0 teachers were harmed in the process of making it. So I think that's something to to mention. Yes. So and this is like the little base home screen. We're actually going to do a little demo now and finish up with that. So there's not going to be any more slides. So please give me applause when I'm done with the demo. So here's our pretty home screen. Gather your thoughts, your personal smart journal. Yeah, yada yada. Kind of told you about that before. You can log in and sign up. Let's see if this is open still. Yep. So I have a little mail here that I've been using the whole time. There's going to be a lot of weird entries, probably, for testing purposes. Let's hope it works. I might have to restart this. Oh yeah, there we go. Now I logged in twice instead. So here's our home screen that you get to. It looks a bit different depending on, like now actually I have a bunch of entries obviously. So we have this, the header here. You can click here to create an entry. I can show you that in a second. We have the donut, which charts up all the entries you've done in the past month. So you can see kind of like what mood you've been having, and apparently I've been very happy when doing this. A little bit angry and neutral, Oh, I actually clicked out excited. Alright, and here we have some recent entries which are kind of weird. So I like turtles, coffee, blah blah. And you can see our labels here and the date of creation as well. You can just kind of click on those if you want to view them. So say if I want to create an entry, I can say, kind of do like what I did before. we like coffee. You can say, I love my coffee in the morning. Dot. Assign it. Well, that makes me kind of excited actually. So let's give it that. And then we have this, suggested label. So, which is the kind of cool thing that we like to have. So give it coffee. It's been used before, so that's why it's on both of these. These are all my previous labels. You can just basically just create it like that. Sure. Other than that, we only, just have this navigation stuff. All your labels, you can click here. On all the entries, you can see a color code to see what sentiment it's marked with. You can go to sentiments, sort by that. Same thing. I have a little history page. So say that you've been using this application for a year. Could maybe be interesting. Like, I wonder what I was thinking a year ago. Now I can't go back a year because this didn't exist, but I could go back a few days at least. Go back in time, and we have this little go back in time kind of feeling where it fades out. You can just kind of scroll through whatever you were doing that day. And last but not least, the activity page, where you can kind of see your activity. So here's your entries from the past week. It's basically just how many entries you've been doing each day. Quite a lot on Friday apparently, and this is just for the past 6 months. So yeah, obviously I only have for this month. And we will also have this little your most used sentiments in the past week. So apparently I've been kind of sad the past week. So, but yeah, that's basically it.
Can you do an entry saying, I like to present my final project and see what keywords you get?
Let's try. Let's call it final project. What was I gonna say?
Whatever you feel about it.
No, but
something like that.
I was very nervous before the final project. Now I'm happy. Let's do a little happy on that one. See what we get. Final project, apparently. So yeah, it's a bit. It works, but it's not super.
No, but
It
that's
kind of
Microsoft
grabs
thing,
some
yeah.
key stuff. So, but yeah. So now I have that.
Do you have any questions to those guys? It's just amazing. In my opinion, it's just really congratulations, brother. This is the first time I've seen this, Scott. Really, nice. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. No questions?
Did you have any other people using it, or was just the two of you who were?
No, during the developing this, you
Yeah.
mean? Well,
Yeah.
no. Basically, I showed it to my brother and my girlfriend. Basically, during but not that many people know. But hopefully more.
But
people know.
this app is actually accessible through Ionic View.
Yes, it is.
Yes. So we will distribute the app code to that, so you can download this to your own phones and
Ain't that
use it.
something?
It's not accessible through App Store because
No.
it's a long process. But there is another preview application that we can use, and that's the Ionic
Exactly.
View. Yeah,
Exactly,
yeah,
and it
that's
works.
really yeah. I know it works because I've been tracking that.
Oh, yeah.
all the time, yeah. Good stuff. David, you have a question?
Can you add your own feelings? So
Apart from the predefined ones?
yeah.
No, these are the kind of. But say if you want to specify feeling, you can just put a label with that on. But like, no, that maybe for the future. But now we have focused on this to kind of have the whole color coding and the donuts work very nice when we kind of have those predefined. But you can put a label with anything. So if you want to make your own feeling, you can at least label it.
All right. Anything else, guys? Okay, Anna.
You have to tell us after lunch that entry that you made that made you angry, saying banana. Oh, here we are.
Diving into those deep thoughts of Alfred and Scott. Let's do that. Let's do
That might have been. That was actually the thing that Scott talked about with like on Friday when we were supposed to do the whole presentation. Then we just noticed this was just all wrong. Like we created an entry with happy and it got added to angry. Everything was just. It had all the right values, but it signed to the wrong things, and we had no clue why. So
That was a lot of debugging, I guess.
yes, so like that's what we spent our Friday on instead.
There you go.
Shit happens.
It sure does in software development. All right, guys, thank you very much. And now a final round of applause for these guys. Let's grab the Timber team. All right.